I'm going to welcome up here our very first speaker. She's no stranger to Arlington. She has been a fighter in our courts for many years as a public defender in Arlington's court system before she became a delegate out in Prince William County, where she has, in her very first year on the General Assembly, she has been a champion for criminal justice reform, which we desperately need both in Virginia and around the country, and she has been a champion for the Equal Rights Amendment. So we're going to hear about what she will do when we get her reelected to the General Assembly. Please give a big round of applause for Delegate Jennifer Carroll Foy. Yes, I may even use the hook to pull people in.
All right, so good afternoon. Come on, let's try that one more time. I said good afternoon. Awesome. I am Delegate Jennifer Carroll Foy, and I represent Prince William and Stafford in the 2nd District. So I want to thank Arlington Blue families. I want to thank all of you for being here with us today. And I just want to remind everyone why we're here. We are here because we are Democrats. And we are Democrats because we care. We care about the fact that our children are doing active shooter drills when they should be learning arithmetic. We care about the fact that there's been 2 mass shootings here in Virginia, and we have failed to pass one piece of common sense gun safety legislation. So if you care about that, let me hear it. Let me hear it. We care about the fact that although here in Arlington our schools are doing well, but there are some jurisdictions where I have lost in Stafford Widewater Elementary 25 teachers. 25 teachers who have left the teaching profession altogether or who have moved to other jurisdictions. There are some students who are seeing their 3rd teacher in this school year alone, and that is unacceptable. So if we say that we really care about our children, we have to put our money where our mouth is and make sure that we're fully funding education and paying teachers a living wage so they don't have to work 2 jobs. That is what's important, and that is why we are here. Now, I made some promises in 2017, and I asked then for your support. And what I said was Medicaid expansion to 400,000 Virginians, 5% teacher pay increases, cleaning up coal ash, which is leaking lead, arsenic, and mercury into people's well water in Prince William County and throughout this state, and millions of dollars into transportation. And I am here and I'm proud to tell you that I have made promises, and my promises are made and my promises are kept. And I've kept every single promise that I made to you in 2017. And what I'm asking for you today in 2019 is for you to continue to support us because we have unfinished business. So I am delighted to be here with so many of my colleagues, and not only do we have to keep every last person we have in the General Assembly, but we need to flip the General Assembly. We need to win, and we need to win big. But we can only do that with your help. So we have sacrificed our weekends. We have left our children at home. We have made the sacrifices, but this is where you all come in. We need you all to help us write the postcards, make the phone calls, write the checks, and knock the doors so we can win big on November 5th. So this is what we need. I need you all to know that you cannot be on the bench, you cannot watch from the sidelines, you cannot sit this one out. We need everyone in the game doing what needs to get done so we can win big on November 5th. So are you with me? I need to hear it. Are you with me? Are we going to win? I'm glad to hear it. I am Delegate Jennifer Carroll Foy. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Delegate Foy, for coming out to Arlington. It is always great to see you. We're going to get her reelected to the General Assembly, aren't we, folks? Absolutely. So we've got another person coming up. He's making his way up here. He really needs no introduction, but I just want to say a few words in thanks to our tremendous Congressman, Don Beyer. Months ago, this man said, enough with this administration. How much more corruption do we need to see? And he called for impeachment. And this past week, I think his wisdom was proven out with the incredible revelations that have happened with respect to the Ukraine situation, and now we are facing an impeachment inquiry. You can always count on Congressman Beyer to lead the way and be a progressive fighter. We are so grateful to have him as our congressman in Arlington, and we will be fighting next year to re-elect him. Without further ado, let's give a big round of applause to Congressman Don Beyer.
I'm so glad that Jennifer went first to do the call and response, because I'm terrible at that. In fact, people always wonder, how does a shy, nerdy car dealer ever get elected? And I thought, well, it's because I have 5 brothers and sisters, and my wife has, and now 8 brothers and sisters after her dad's remarriage. I have 4 children, 10 cousins. She has 15 cousins. I added it up on the way over. We have 35 nieces and nephews, and I have 2 wonderful grandchildren, and they all live in the 8th district, every one of them. And it's families that bring us to this. And I'm just so proud to be part of the Blue families, because as Jennifer said so eloquently, almost everything that we fight for in Richmond and in Washington and in Arlington has to do with our families. When we're fighting to reduce healthcare costs and the cost of prescription drugs, it's for our families. And when the other guys are trying to repeal Obamacare, it destroys our families. When we try to change the tax code so that families are lifted up, it's for our families. When we're trying to do all the stuff on education, on infrastructure, every piece of our agenda has to make the world better. And when we watch this EPA destroy our clean air rules, our clean water rules, those all hurt our families, which is why we have to come together in such an important way. I often talk to folks that the best part for me about being part of politics is the explosion of social capital. That you have so many more people that are friends and family that give you great grounding in your life. And it's when people come to me and say, I don't have any friends and I'm lonely, I say, just go join the Democratic Committee. It will change your life for the rest of your time. I read in Psychology Today 30 years ago that on the 1st of January every year, you should write a list of your 10 best friends. And then check it every year, because it'll change. Some of them you'll get in a fight with you don't like anymore. Some die. Some move to Colorado. And you make new friends. Well, my list is up to 57 right now, and 52 of them I met through Democratic politics, because it attracts really good people and really good families. The people that I love are part of this family. So I was also thinking this is Blue families. So we use blue in a lot of different ways. There's True Blue for loyalty. There's Blue Moon when you get 2 moons in the same month. There's Aqua Blue and Baby Blue, and Jennifer was just talking up a blue streak. But the one thing we don't want to have is ever get the blues on Election Day. So let's make sure that it's blue, because all of our expectations are up to the sky. It's the purest, cleanest color, and we're going to provide the purest, cleanest kind of politics for all the years ahead. So thank you for being part of the Blue family. Thank you for making me part of your family. Good luck.
Thank you, Congressman Beyer. Let's give him another round of applause for being such a terrific fighter for us in Congress. Let's turn next to our great next speaker, who is also another Beyond Arlington candidate. She's no stranger as well to Arlington, not because she worked here, but because so many of us went out to work for her in 2017. She ran a tough race in 2017. They said that we shouldn't win that seat, but Wendy Gooditis said, nope, we can do this. We can get out there. She marched in the Women's March. She turned around and ran for office, and she won. She is facing that same opponent from 2017 this year, and it is another tough race. So my question for you as we welcome her to the stage is, are we going to get out there and fight for Wendy Gooditis? I need to hear it more, because, folks, this is a seat that if we are going to take the majority, we have to win her seat back. Are we going to do it? Yeah! All right, without further ado, here she is, Elliot, Wendy Gooditis.
Thank you so much. Well, what does the visitor from the far and wild west say to her friends in Arlington, except for a huge heartfelt thank you? We could not have done this in 2017 without you, and I mean that genuinely. It was your energy and your funds and your door knocking and your understanding of the importance of the issues, and your understanding that those of us who in our districts lag a little behind needed the help of those who were keyed into what was important. Thank you so much. My opponent, Randy Minshew, is back with a major chip on his shoulder, major big bank account. He's given himself over $300,000 of his own money. He's very generous to himself, lucky guy. We can't let him buy this seat back. It's the way I like to say it, it's kind of funny, but I don't like the way he votes. I like my vote better than I like his vote. It's that simple. I'm the confident one. I always think we'll do this. I thought without any real reason or rationale that we'd win in 2017. We did. He didn't see me coming. This year, he and the Koch brothers organization understand what they're up against. So they're throwing everything at it that they can. Some of you may know one of my personal reasons for running in the first place was the suffering of my brother, who had PTSD and alcoholism as a result of it. I lost him after multiple suicide attempts. Last couple years of his life, I worked hard to try to help him survive. He did not have Medicaid. He did not have disability. And it's amazing how hard those things are to come by. And his sister, me, with advanced degrees and lots of experience filling out forms and talking to the right people, I found it hard to get that done for him. So what do people do who don't have that kind of time or background or energy? What do people do? Thank goodness we have expanded Medicaid in this state so that more people who not only need it but deserve it can get health care. We have a long way to go. There's a lot more we have to do. District 10 is the most rural and most western of the democratically held seats. It is exactly the kind of seat, the kind of area we need to make inroads in as Democrats before 2020. This is exactly the kind of seat we have to have. In 2017, when we flipped 15 seats, our campaign managers, finance directors, grassroots leaders were literally exported all over the United States and sat down with the congressional races and taught them how we did it in Virginia. I think Virginia deserves a lot of credit for winning the House of Representatives in 2018. My own campaign manager, first time around, was one of those who went all over the United States and taught these congressional races how we did it. So we have a chance to do that and more this year. When we flip Virginia, flip the State House in 37 days, we will once again not only motivate and inspire, but have the chance to educate the rest of this country headed into 2020. And 2020 will be the fourth wave of the blue tide, and that will pretty much wash away the mess. And I want to tell you, so some of you have heard Virginia is called the bellwether for how this nation will go. Well, some of the pundits and powers that be are calling House District 10 the bellwether for how Virginia goes. So you know what that makes me? The most important Democrat in the United States. So I find it hard to ask such wonderful people and such a wonderful organization to do more. All I can say is I turned my life completely upside down. I had this pleasant, peaceful little life. But it seemed that there was something important that needed to be done that no one was doing, and that was running against this guy. So I kept asking, who's running against him? I want to be the best volunteer that campaign ever had. But no one was. So I ran. It was a job worth doing. It's a full-time job. Don't let anyone tell you different. All I ask of you is to do what you can. I do what I can. And as long as we all do what we can, we'll be okay. So thank you, Arlington. We love you.
So yes, we can. Am I right, folks? Can we do this? Absolutely. Okay, so I think we're moving right along on schedule. Pretty good, folks. Have not had to use my stage hook yet, so I appreciate that. But we are going to go ahead and welcome up to the stage, not a candidate for this year because we're very forward-looking in Arlington. We're going to go and ask another candidate from 2020 to come join us up here because we never stop the fight here in Arlington. This is a candidate who we fought for in 2018. Yes, I get them a little confused. We fought for her in 2018. She came up short in the race, but she managed to secure the greatest number of Democratic votes that any candidate has gotten in the 1st Congressional District in Virginia. That is an incredible accomplishment that she is going to build on next year with our help to bring Vangie Williams to the U.S. Congress. So she's come to join us here all the way from the 1st Congressional District of Virginia. We're so delighted to have you here. We're excited to support you again, and we'd love to hear from you.
Hey, Arlington, let me hear you. You know, I have to agree with Wendy. You know, when you start and you decide to run for office, you have to flip your life upside down. Now, most people know, some of y'all don't, I have 6 daughters, ages 13 to 25. We cover the spectrum of life. In my household, we have mental illness, we have Asperger's, and I have a daughter who was the catalyst to my running named Lilia. She's in my video. If you ever go to Facebook, Twitter, website, you'll see the video. Lilia has a rare lung condition called aspergillosis. Well, back in 2007, when I wrote my congressman, who won't be our congressman after 2020, he decided to send me a form letter. And I'm going to tell you, what's the most disappointing thing than getting a Xeroxed form letter that has the creases at the top? You know, really bad job. That is what changed me to make me say we deserve better as not only the 1st District, but Virginia and a country. My congressman has done nothing to support families. Not one thing. Now I always say, you can be pro-life, meaning you really are in for life, but if you're pro-life, you better be pro-family, because there is a big difference. There is no justification for anyone saying that a family is determined by the government, not by the women who have to make those choices. I am supporting the 2019 candidates, a lot of them. I think we're close to 180 at this point. And the reason why I'm supporting them is because all politics start local. And it takes every one of us to make sure that we keep these seats blue and we flip those that are red very blue. It's time that we take Virginia and forget this whole argument that we want to go purple. No, we want to go blue because blue is a beautiful color. So let me explain why I wear a red jacket. This jacket started off as a joke. I was trying to insult a certain congressman by wearing a red jacket, but I realized something. This stood for power. This stood for heart. This stood for everything that America is built on, and that is not the Republican Party. I'm running for office because we all need an economy that works for everyone so that our children have a future beyond the next 10 years. I'm running because we need health care across the country. I live in the district where we don't have transportation, nor do we have health care facilities. So having health care is kind of mute when you can't get to them. The closest hospital and doctor's office to my home is 45 minutes. If you don't have a car, how does that happen? So I want to make sure that we build the economy, our health care, so that we can protect our children. And a lot of people ask me, what do I do to help the state candidates? I'm out here because we all are doing this together. And I thank Arlington for being one of when I first got married, I lived over in Pentagon City. This was my first home as a married woman. So that was the beginning of the next chapter of my life. Had no idea I was going to run for Congress. Thought about it. But we all need your help. We need donations. We need volunteers. We need house parties. We all need your help. Now, don't start helping me until November 6th. We can wait for me a couple of weeks, 38 days. I'll be back at your doors. But right now, please come down to the southern portions of the district. Francis Edwards, Qasim Rashid, Jess Foster, Jennifer. We all need canvassers because we have a lot of ground and we don't knock on doors by walking, we drive. So we need your help. And by all means, November 16th, put it on your calendars. We're doing my canvas kickoff in Fredericksburg City. And that will be the kickoff to the 2020 First District race. And remember, the First District technically is the first district of the country. You got to go to us to get to Jamestown. This is the First District. We're going to make it happen. So let's set the path straight. Let's win in Virginia. And I have to tell y'all, thank you so much for always being there.
Thank you for being here today. Let's give a big round of applause to Vangie Williams, all the way from the 1st Congressional District, who we're going to be fighting hard for next year. Our next speaker, we really wanted to acknowledge, as Josh said at the outset, that really the next generation kids are really leading the way in this time when so many of our elected officials of a different persuasion have failed to lead on a number of topics, be it climate change or gun safety. We have with us today an incredible activist from right here in Arlington, one of our Arlington schools, who is really passionate about fighting in her local community for change. And so we wanted to make sure to make room in our politics, make room in our party for the next generation of voices. And I'd like to welcome up to the stage Grace Gent, who's going to give us a little flavor of what's happening in Arlington in the high schools in terms of activism. So come on down. Let's give a big round of applause for Grace here. For all we know, she's going to be the next candidate, 10 years from now. Who knows?
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Grace Gent. I'd like to start by reading a poem I wrote over the summer. It's a bit dark for a summer picnic, but indulge me. Thoughts sitting in a lockdown drill. There is no good place to sit in this black room. One wall meets the hallway, the other meets the air, and this wall to the outside has 2 sets of double doors. 7 feet wide, 15 feet tall. We cannot sit on either of these walls unless we wish to be slaughtered in a fashion less humane than that of cattle, and though we believe the wall on the hallway to be a safer option, we do not know what it is made of. If made of cinder blocks, it would act as a shield, but if it is made of wood, then we will be known by our blood, slick and shining on the smooth concrete floor. This building would be demolished, a new one built in its stead, adorned with our final day on the front. We know we cannot run, but some of us consider it. Get up, open the door, hope no one is waiting outside, and sprint. You cannot slow down, but you cannot outrun a bullet. It is a matter of luck, running. It depends on where you are in relation to the gun and whether the gun is hunting someone specific or if it simply thirsts for blood, not caring whose. My chest has tightened. There are tears in my eyes and my knees are wet with saline. I will go into another black room, a different black room, in a few months, and the procedures will change little by little with every new reaping of children. It does not matter. We will not care. We will keep repeating these drills until one day it won't be a drill and none of us will be surprised and some of us will die. But then in the cemeteries, people would touch our stones and smooth us with remembrance, but then we will be forgotten, gone too young to leave a lasting impact, just another statistic used in debates. There is a boy sitting across from me. What would he look like dead? His eyes would lose their light, his teeth would yellow, his skin would pale and dry and crack. In his casket, he would look less human, more ghost. His flesh, a canal passed through by a cigarette boat. The cavitation shredding his organs past the point of no return, letting arteries fountain and burst and bleed, heart pounding with nowhere to go, and suddenly, it's hard to breathe. What would I look like dead? I wrote this poem sitting in a lockdown drill at summer camp. There wasn't much to do but sit and think, so that's what I did. I scribbled a few lines down in a dark room, and those lines turned into this poem. I first got involved truly in activism after the Parkland shooting. For a month, I gave up my lunch periods to work to organize my middle school's walkout on March 17th. And it worked. We walked out onto the school's soccer field for 17 minutes, and then a small group of us traveled to the Capitol to meet with Tim Kaine to discuss gun control. It's been 561 days since then. In that time, I've started high school at Washington Liberty. I've gotten a sick watch tan 2 summers in a row. My best friend, Rosie, started Generation Ratify, a youth-led movement working to flip the House so Virginia will finally ratify the ERA. I've joined my high school's Young Democrats Club. My friends and I hid in the basement of a hotel at DC Pride during the shooting scare. And a few weeks ago, my friend texted me from the Ballston Theater telling me she loved me and that there was a shooter in the building. Luckily, it was a false alarm. What I'm saying is a lot can change in 561 days. I'm a very different person than the 13-year-old girl who organized a middle school's walkout. But I still hold one thing more true than ever. If not now, when? If not us, who? So I'm here to say thanks for being here, for being involved, for donating your time, for committing to do something bigger. And for all my fellow teenagers here, keep doing this. Stay involved, stay active. I have to argue with my mother and my father every month to let me go protest in front of the Capitol, and it's worth it every time. So that's it. Thanks so much, and see you all on the trail.
Thank you so much, Grace. Let's give a big round of applause to Grace for coming out here today and really showing us the way. We've been so inspired by young people really pushing the envelope because it desperately does need to be pushed. I'd also like to give a big thank you to our high school Young Democrats who came out to volunteer providing babysitting services and setup services. Can we give them a big round of applause for being engaged and active? We greatly appreciate it. We're really excited to have another one of our adopted candidates who just drove all the way out to join us, and he's so humble. He says, I don't have to talk, but I said, no way. We want to hear from this guy. We want to see who we're going to be out there fighting so hard for to get across the finish line. For those of you who don't know, Josh ran first, but he certainly ran in 2017, and he was within 100 votes of winning that seat. And it's heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking alone. But what is infuriating is the fact that in his district, some of the voters received the wrong ballots. And it was enough voters that it could have made a difference. Now, I don't know how those folks would have voted, but I do know that they probably wanted the chance to vote. Right? I mean, that's what it's all about. We want to make sure that there's access to the polls. So there was something something funny happened in that race in 2017, and it may have cost us this seat. But Josh picked himself up, dusted himself off, and said, I'm going to fight again. And we are so glad that he did. So let me, without further ado, introduce you to another one of our adopted candidates we are going to get across the finish line in November, Josh Cole.
Well, good afternoon, Arlington. Oh, that was a little weak. I'm a preacher, so I like when y'all talk back to me. Good afternoon, Arlington. I am so excited to be with you all. I had to brave the traffic, but we made it up here. First of all, let me just say thank you to all the work that many of you are doing, whether it's donating, whether it's postcards, whether it's coming down 95 to canvass for us. We really appreciate you. You've heard so many different candidates that talked about what's on the line this year for the election. I don't have to repeat what they said, but we do know it's serious that we have to flip the House of Delegates. And let me just tell you how the Republicans know that they pose a threat to what we're trying to do. Our opponent has released attack after attack on our campaign. We haven't even gone after him, but he must be so infatuated by us that we have a whole page on his website now titled The Real Josh Cole. Did you know I'm going to take your cars away and stop you from eating beef if I get elected? So we have to fight for working families. This is what it's all about. We have to fight to make sure that we raise the state minimum wage. We have to fight to make sure that women have control of their own bodily autonomy. We have to make sure that people have the ability to speak who they are and live their truths despite where they came from, who they love, or what they look like. That's what's on the ballot on November the 5th. And you all, by coming down to Fredericksburg, by going out to Loudoun or these other counties that you're going to, you are helping us do that. They're nervous because they know that the voters want change and they're trying to suppress the vote this early. We have to get out. We have to make sure that everybody understands the importance of voting and that they will show up. When we show up, we win. When we vote, we win. So it's about that time. Again, thank you all so much. I'll be here for the rest of the afternoon. You can ask me any personal questions, and I look forward to chatting with you all. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.